really going to work. All right, let's go. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I was a bit slow getting this one sorted. That's okay. Let's go with that. So, what I'm going to do is just read an excerpt from this book. That, my gosh, if you haven't read this book and you're like a parent or adult, or it's thick, the words are really small, but my goodness, amazing book. And the information that's in here, it's done as a story, so it's actually a really interesting read. But it's very different to what you will learn, or what your kids will learn if you're one of the parents at school, or anything like that. And for me, for society to function and thrive and actually excel, this is the sort of information that people need to know and they need to understand. If they don't understand this stuff, there's going to be a lot of dramas, and it's just not really going to change. So let's go through this. I'm just going to read this excerpt. Written. So you think, this is a quote. So you think that money is the root of all evil, said Francisco d'Anconia. Have you ever asked what is the root of money? Money is a tool of exchange which can't exist unless there are goods produced and men are able to produce them. Money is the material shape of the principle that men who wish to deal with one another must deal by trade and give value for value. Money is not the tool of the moochers who claim your product by tears, or of the looters who take it from you by force. Money is made possible only by the men who produce. Is that what you consider evil? When you accept money in payment for your effort, you do so only on the conviction that you will exchange it for the product of the effort of others. It is not the moochers or looters who give value to money. Not an ocean of tears nor all the guns in the world can transform those pieces of paper in your wallet into the bread you'll need to survive tomorrow. Those pieces of paper, which should have been gold, are a token of honor. Your claim upon the energy of the men who produce. Your wallet is your statement of hope that somewhere in the world around you, there are men who will not default on the moral principle which is the root of money. Is this what you consider evil? Have you ever looked for the root of production? Take a look at an electric generator and dare tell yourself that it was created by the muscular effort of unthinking brutes. Try to grow a seed of wheat without the knowledge left to you by men who had to discover it for the first time. Try to obtain your food by means of nothing but physical motions, and you'll learn that man's mind is the root of all the goods produced and of all the wealth that has ever existed on earth. But you say that money is made by the strong at the expense of the weak. What strength do you mean? It is not the strength of guns or muscles. Wealth is the product of a man's capacity to think. Then is money made by the man who invents a motor at the expense of those who did not invent it? Is money made by the intelligent at the expense of the fools? By the able at the expense of the incompetent? By the ambitious at the expense of the lazy? Money is made before it can be looted or mooched, made by the effort of every honest man, each to the extent of his ability. An honest man is one who knows that he can't consume more than he has produced. To trade by means of money is the code of the men of goodwill. Money rests on the axiom that every man is the owner of his mind and his effort. Money allows no power to prescribe the value of your effort except the voluntary choice of the man who is willing to trade you his effort in return. Money permits you to obtain for your goods and your labor that which they are worth to the men who buy them, but no more. Money permits no deals except those to mutual benefit by the unforged judgment of the traders. Money demands of you the recognition that men must work for their own benefit, not for their own injury, for their gain, not for their loss. The recognition that they are not beasts of burden born to carry the weight of your misery, that you must offer them values, not wounds, that the common bond among men is not the exchange of suffering, but the exchange of goods. Money demands that you sell, not your weakness to men's stupidity, but your talent to their reason. It demands that you buy, not the shoddiest they offer, but the best that your money can find. When men live by trade, with reason, not force, as their final arbiter, it is the best product that wins, the best performance, the man of best judgment and highest ability. And the degree of a man's productiveness is the degree of his reward. This is the code of existence whose tool and symbol is money. Is this what you consider evil? But money is not only a tool, it will take you wherever you wish, but it will not replace you as the driver. It will give you the means for the satisfaction of your desires, but it will not provide you with desires. Money is the scourge of the men who attempt to reverse the law of causality, the men who seek to replace the mind by seizing the products of the mind. Money will not purchase happiness for the man who has no concept of what he wants. Money will not give him a code of values. If he's evaded the knowledge of what to value, and it will not provide him with a purpose if he's evaded the choice of what to seek. Money will not buy intelligence for the fool, or admiration for the coward, or respect for the incompetent. The man who attempts to purchase the brains of his superiors to serve him, with his money replacing his judgment, ends up by becoming the victim of his inferiors. The men of intelligence desert him, but the cheats and frauds come flocking to him, drawn by a law which he has not discovered, that no man may be smaller than his money. Is this the reason why you call it evil? Only the man who does not need it is fit to inherit wealth. The man who would make his own fortune no matter where he started. If an heir is equal to his money, it serves him. If not, it destroys him. But you look on and you cry that money corrupted him. Did it? Or did he corrupt his money? Do not envy a worthless heir. His wealth is not yours, and you would have done no better with it. Do not think that it should have been distributed among you, loading the world with 50 parasites instead of one would not bring back the dead virtue which was the fortune. Money is a living power that dies without its root. Money will not serve the mind that cannot match it. Is this the reason why you call it evil? Money is your means of survival. The verdict you pronounce upon the source of your livelihood is the verdict you pronounce upon your life. If the source is corrupt, you have damned your own existence. Did you get your money by fraud? By pandering to men's vices or men's stupidity? By catering to fools in the hope of getting more than your ability deserves? By lowering your standards? By doing work you despise for purchases you scorn? If so, then your money will not give you a moment's or a penny's worth of joy. Then all the things you buy will become not a tribute to, but a reproach, not an achievement, but a reminder of shame. Then you'll scream that money is evil. Evil because it would not pinch hit for your self-respect. Evil because it would not let you enjoy your depravity. Is this the root of your hatred of money? Money will always remain an effect and refuse to replace you as the cause. Money is the product of virtue. But it will not give you virtue, and it will not redeem your vices. Money will not give you the unearned, neither in matter nor in spirit. Is this the root of your hatred of money? Or did you say it's the love of money that's the root of all evil? To love a thing is to know and love its nature. To love money is to know and love the fact that money is the creation of the best power within you, and your passkey to trade your effort for the effort of the best among men. It's the person who would sell his soul for a nickel, who is the loudest in proclaiming his hatred of money, and he has good reason to hate it. The lovers of money are willing to work for it. They know they are able to deserve it. Let me give you a tip on a clue to men's characters. The man who damns money has obtained it dishonorably. The man who respects it has earned it. Run for your life from any man who tells you that money is evil. That sentence is the leper's bell of an approaching looter. This is such good writing. So long as men live together on earth and need means to deal with one another, their only substitute, if they abandon money, is the muzzle of a gun. But money demands of you the highest virtues, if you wish to make it or keep it. Men who have no courage, pride, or self-esteem, men who have no moral sense of their right to their money and are not willing to defend it as they defend their life, men who apologize for being rich, will not remain rich for long. They are the natural bait for the swarms of looters that stay under rocks for centuries, but come crawling out at the first smell of a man who begs to be forgiven for the guilt of owning wealth. They will hasten to relieve him of the guilt and of his life as he deserves. Then you will see the rise of the men of the double standard, the men who live by force. You count on those who live by trade. This makes me angry. Yet count on those who live by trade to create the value of their looted money. The men who are the hitchhikers of virtue. In a moral society, these are the criminals. And the statutes are written to protect you against them. When a society establishes criminals by right and looters by law, men who use force to seize the wealth of disarmed victims, then money becomes its creator's avenger. Such looters believe it's safe to rob defenseless men once they've passed a law to disarm them. But their loot becomes the magnet for other looters, who get it from them as they got it. Then the race goes, not to the ablest at production, but to those most ruthless at brutality. When force is the standard, the murderer wins over the pickpocket, and then that society vanishes in a spread of ruins and slaughter. Do you wish to know whether that day is coming? Watch money. Money is the barometer of a society's virtue. When you see that trading is done not by consent but by compulsion, when you see that in order to produce, you need to obtain permission from men who produce nothing, when you see that money is flowing to those who deal not in goods but in favors, when you see that men get richer by graft and by pull than by work, your laws don't protect you against them but protect them against you. When you see corruption being rewarded and honesty becoming a self-sacrifice, you may know that your society is doomed. Money is so noble a medium that it does not compete with guns, and it does not make terms of brutality. It will not permit a country to survive as half property, half loot. When destroyers appear among men, they start by destroying money. For money is men's protection and the base of a moral existence. Destroyers seize gold and leave to its owners a counterfeit pile of paper. This kills all objective standards and delivers men into the arbitrary power of an arbitrary settler of values. Gold was an objective value, an equivalent of wealth produced. Paper is a mortgage on wealth that does not exist, backed by a gun aimed at those who expected to produce it. Paper is a check drawn by legal looters upon an account which is not theirs, upon the virtue of the victims. Watch for the day when it bounces, marked, account overdrawn. When you have made evil the means of survival, do not expect men to remain good. Do not expect them to stay moral and lose their lives for the purpose of becoming the fodder of the immoral. Do not expect them to produce when production is punished and looting rewarded. Do not ask, who is destroying the world? You are. You stand in the midst of the greatest achievements of the greatest productive civilization, and you wonder why it's crumbling around you, while you're damning its lifeblood, money. You look upon money as the savages did before you, and you wonder why the jungle is creeping back to the edge of your cities. Throughout men's history, money was always seized by looters of one brand or another, whose names changed but whose method remained the same: to seize wealth by force and to keep the producers bound, demeaned, defamed, deprived of honour. That phrase about the evil of money, which you mouth with such righteous recklessness, comes from a time when wealth was produced by the labour of slaves. Slaves who repeated the motions once discovered by somebody's mind and left unimproved for centuries. So long as production was ruled by force and wealth was obtained by conquest, there was little to conquer. Yet through all the centuries of stagnation and starvation, men exalted the looters as aristocrats of the sword, as aristocrats of birth, as aristocrats of the bureau, and despised the producers as slaves, as traders, as shopkeepers, as industrialists. To the glory of mankind, there was, for the first and only time in history, a country of money. And I have no higher, more reverent tribute to pay to America for this means: a country of reason, justice, freedom, production, achievement. For the first time, man's mind and money were set free, and there were no fortunes by conquest, but only fortunes by work. And instead of swordsmen and slaves, there appeared the real maker of wealth, the greatest worker, the highest type of human being, the self-made man, the American industrialist. If you ask me to name the proudest distinction of Americans, I would choose, because it contains all the others, the fact that they were the people who created the phrase to make money. No other language or nation had ever used these words before. Men had always thought of wealth as a static quantity, to be seized, begged, inherited, shared, looted, or obtained as a favor. Americans were the first to understand that wealth has to be created. The words "to make money" hold the essence of human morality. Yet these were the words for which Americans were denounced by the rotted cultures of the looters' continents. Now the looters' credo has brought you to regard your proudest achievement as a hallmark of shame, your prosperity as guilt, your greatest men, the industrials, as blackguards, and your magnificent factories as the product and property of muscular labour, the labour of whip-driven slaves like the pyramids of Egypt. The rotter who simpers that he sees no difference between the power of the dollar and the power of the whip ought to learn the difference on his own hide, as I think he will. Until and unless you discover that money is the root of all good, you ask for your own destruction. When money ceases to be the tool by which men deal with one another, then men become the tools of men. Blood, whips, and guns, or dollars. Take a choice. There is no other, and your time is running out. Oh, man. Read this book. Read this book. People are being stolen from in ways that most people have no idea that is happening at the moment. And it's, oh man, it's really upsetting to see happening when you know that most people don't see it, because you don't understand inflation, you don't understand interest rates, you don't understand compound interest, you don't understand the basic things about money. And to know that people are just blatantly being stolen upon by these people who produce nothing. They produce nothing. And they sit there and they're like, oh, you have to pay me because this law says that you have to pay me. This book, oh, it says it so eloquently. It says it so well. It says it so clearly. And it's, oh man, it's generally, it's like really sad reading this book, because you read it and you're like, far out. This is like what's happening. Oh, and it gets way worse with what happens, and it's just like this torture cycle. And I look at it with sort of lockdowns and businesses being shut. Far out, it does my head in. But you've got these people that want to produce and they're not allowed to, because the government sits there and they're like, oh, that's all right, sweet, just stay there and do nothing, we'll give you money. Money, it's not. Every single dollar that they're giving you is devaluing every other dollar that you have earned, that you've actually gone and earned. And this just explains the type of people that they are. And there's They've always existed, but they exist because the producers, the people who actually create stuff and do stuff, the people who go out and work, let it. Like they let it happen, and it's yeah, it's crazy. I haven't got to the end, so I'm just I'm a bit over halfway, but it's a very upsetting book to read because you see so many parallels between what's happening today, what the government's doing, the rules that they're enacting, acting as these dictators and these totalitarians and fascists and overlords, creating a medical tyranny, and telling you how you have to live and what you have to do. It is the epitome of like the word looter in here, or thieves, or robbers, or whatever word you want to use. But it is exactly what every single one of those. Not everyone. There are some good ones, but it's exactly what those people are, and they do nothing. They do nothing. And what's happening with what they're doing is that they're forcing the producers, the people that are producing around the world now that are creating things, they're forcing those people to stop. So when prices go up, and they've just been printing money and giving it out, and what that means isn't that you're getting richer, it means you're actually getting poorer, because all the money that they create means that every bit of money that's come before that that's been earned is worth less. Okay, that's what inflation is. It's where 100 years ago a dollar could have bought you, like, you could have bought a house for like $3,000 or $2,000, and now it costs you $1 million for the same house. That's not because the house is more valuable. The house is the same. The dollars are less valuable because they steal them by printing them and giving it to you as good faith. Or here's money. Just stay in your house. Just don't go out and work. It's for your health. It's for your safety. The same shit in this book. They explain it differently because obviously they haven't gone down the medical tyranny route. It's just that. But the idea of power and the looters, that's all they want. They just want more power and they don't care how they do it. That's all they want to go after. Man, and they do it with laws. They do it and it's so disheartening to the people that are creating and that are producing. It's so disheartening. And there's so many people now that are just so they're so defeated, and that's what this stuff does. And you see the people throwing in the towel. They're like, I'm out. Like, why would I create this business when you're going to condemn me for it, one, and then you're going to take everything that I earn, two. What's the point? Why do it? It's just happening to so many people at the moment. But the important thing to really understand is that when producers stop making stuff, what are you going to be able to buy? How are you going to be able to live? If the people that create, that have the minds and the intellects to go out and do business, create business, be industrialists, factories, products, whatever it is, if that stops, because these looters, the people that are making these laws, locking people in their houses, telling them they're not allowed to work, if that stops, eventually everything on that chain stops. So when food prices go up, or there's shortages, or there are all these things, the people that you need to look to and understand, it's not the producers, it's not the greedy capitalists or however they want to condemn these people. It's the people who are there stealing the wealth by doing nothing. And they're the people generally that are elected to office. Not all, but in this country at the moment, the people in charge, the two major parties, are the biggest thieves and looters that I've ever seen. Whenever you hear things like government spending, the budget's got to be increased, we're trading at deficits, that all means that they are stealing from people that are producing. That's exactly what it means. And as a nation, we become poorer. As a people, we become poorer, and our quality of life goes down. And this book is while it's a fiction book, the principles that it's written on are very, very real, and they're very evident today. It was written in the 50s, which there's another book, 1984, by George Orwell. if you're looking at two books that, if you're anything like me and you see what's going on and it upsets you and you think that it's not okay, they hit pretty deep because it's not, it's just not okay. It's so not okay. And they were written in the 50s. Like, these were written 70 years ago. These books were written 70 years ago, and they're describing what's happening today. Not because they were predicting what was going to happen, because there's patterns and there's cycles. And if you don't learn from history, it's going to repeat itself. It'll wear a different costume, it'll wear a different outfit, but it's going to repeat itself. And that's what's happening today. And that's why reading and learning things like this and this knowledge, George Orwell is the other one. It is so important. It is so important to read and to understand these things. And I think more so because we're probably fairly screwed at the moment. It's incredibly important to teach, if you've got kids, to teach the kids these things, because schools aren't going to teach them, because the people who are stealing everyone's wealth create the rules and the education system for the schools. And they don't want people learning this stuff because that means they're going to have less power. These books are incredibly important. I strongly encourage you to invest the time in reading these to get some sort of understanding about what's happening. And I think if it hits you like it's hit me, reading something that was written 70 years ago, and you can see the exact same things are happening now, it's pretty scary. And you see where these goes, it gets a little bit more scary. But look, anyways, I just thought I'd read that because I think that's a really powerful section of the book. And there's a few others in there that have just blown my mind. I strongly recommend reading that book. Get educated. Things are not going to get better for quite a while. Things are going to get a lot worse. And it's very important that you've got the knowledge and means to understand these things, to keep yourself safe, to keep your family safe, and to survive, in all honesty. So I'll leave it there. But I'm out. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, drop a comment, like it, share it, whatever. Tell me what you didn't like, tell me what you did. Helps me sort of gear these. But I'm pretty much just going to do it. I do this more for me. I enjoy reading this stuff. This stuff it's really powerful. And while I love it and it's incredibly painful, at the same time, I genuinely do enjoy doing it. So if you want to hear something else, tell me. If I don't like it, I'm not going to do it. But if you do want to hear something, or you've got some ideas or thoughts, then let me know. And I'm happy to sort of branch out on these lives. But I'll try and do at least one of these a week with an excerpt of something that I've read, or there's a few more in there that I want to go through. But leave it there now. All right. See you guys.